Okay, in this video I'm going to discuss how to calculate variance, standard deviation, and range using Excel. Okay, so I have data on 18 soldiers in the U.S. Army and I have their ages. Okay, so I can go straight to Excel and go ahead and get this done using some formulas Excel has already built in. Okay, so starting with finding the variance. Actually, let's start with finding, this is a sample, so let's start with finding sample variance. The formula that Excel has, I would type equals, and then I would write var, and you see that there's .s and .p. .p would be for a population, and .s is for a sample. So we'll do .s. Okay, then highlight your data, and close parentheses and press enter. So there we go. That's the sample variance in the ages of these soldiers. Okay. Next, if we wanted to do sample standard deviation, right, there is another formula for that. I can write equals standard, and then you see standard deviation for the population and standard deviation for a sample. Okay. So there's two there. This is a sample, so I'll use that. And I'll highlight my data. I'll close the parentheses and I'll press enter. Okay. Another way I could have found the standard deviation is I could have done the square root, SQRT, of the variance. It would have given me the same number. Okay. Just different formulas, same thing. Next, if I wanted to find the range, remember, is the max of the data. So type in max and those parentheses, and then type in minus the min. Okay, open parentheses, highlight the data, close those parentheses. Okay, all right, so there you have it. There is the sample variance, standard deviation, and range using Excel. All done. So you could be all done, or you could calculate the sample variance using this formula, and you could also do that in Excel. Okay? If we wanted to use this formula, the first thing we would need to know is what is X bar, or what is the sample mean. Okay? And we could add on sample mean, and we could use the formula average. Okay, open those parentheses, highlight your data, close the parentheses, and there is our sample mean. Okay, or another way we could find the sample mean is we could use the equation, right? Remember, what is the equation for sample mean? The equation for sample mean is the sum of all the x's divided by n, right? So you need to sum up your data and then divide it by the number of observations you have. Okay, so I would want to sum up all the x's. That'd be the first thing I would want to do. Okay. So the sum of the x's, to find that, I would type in sum, open parentheses, highlight all of your data, close parentheses, and that's the sum. Okay, so the sample mean, X bar, is going to be the sum divided by your sample size. Okay, we have 18 observations here. So we could have found sample mean directly using the formula average, or we could find it using the equation. Okay, once you have the sample mean, next, you would need to find the sum of x minus the sample mean squared. Okay, so we'll do that in two steps. First, we'll find x minus x bar for every observation. So we'll find x minus x bar. So the way I'll do that is I'll write, this is the x value, and I'll subtract that from 25.8333. Okay, all right. X minus x bar, so that's for the first observation. If I press this little square here and scroll it all the way down, it'll do it for every observation. So you see That's 18 minus 25, etc. Okay. Then what I want to do is I want to take this and I want to square it. So I want to find x minus x bar squared. So I'll take x minus x bar and I'll do the little caret and I'll write 2 so that gets squared. And then I'll scroll it down so it does it for everyone. You see everyone is getting squared. Okay, then I'll need to find the sum. So the sum of x minus x bar squared. Okay, and that sum, to get that, I will need to do equals the sum of all of these guys. Okay, press enter. All right, so once I have that, that's basically what you see up top here, the sum of x minus x bar squared. So then I just need to divide it by n minus 1. So the sample variance, right, so the sample variance is going to be equal to the sum of x minus x bar squared divided by, and then use a parenthesis, n, and what is n? Sample size, so 18 minus 1. Okay, it's not divided by 18, but it's divided by 18 minus 1. Don't forget the parentheses, or you could have written divided by 17. Press enter, and what you get is the sample variance, same, they match each other, good. So that means that the Excel formula is working. In addition to, we could have used our formula, it also gets the same thing. Okay. Okay, next, if I want to find the sample standard deviation using the formula, it's exactly the same formula as the sample variance, except it has the square root symbol. So if I were to go back to Excel, after I've found the sample variance, the only thing that I would do is to find the sample standard deviation, is I would write equals SQRT, open parentheses, of whatever I found for the sample variance. Okay, so I would always find the sample variance first and then find the sample standard deviation if I was using the long method, using the formulas. Okay, and what we see is, of course, we're finding the same sample standard deviation that Excel found using the shortcut method.